Mike, Dabo Swinney recently went off on a caller, and everybody's been talking about it from the world of college football. The caller basically pointed out the fact that Clemson, they're struggling and questioned if Dabo Swinney should be paid, the salary that he's been paid. What's your take on Dabo Swinney's remarks and Clemson football, kind of the state of the program right now?
Well, Clemson's 4-4. I mean, they've definitely underachieved, no doubt about that. But I'll listen to that whole phone call with Dabo Swinney, and I encourage everybody, if they haven't heard that Dabo Swinney phone call, look it up and listen to it, because Dabo Swinney went Old Testament on that dude, man, and I thought he needed to. I thought when I was listening to that caller, I thought that caller was a punk. That's what I thought. Telling him that you make $11 million a year, what are we getting for it and all this kind of stuff. Well, what they got was 2 national championships and played for 2 others for it. Dabo Swinney's an excellent coach. So I don't blame these coaches, man. They're only humans for pushing back on some of this naysaying that they get, and some of these callers that they get. And every now and then, Nick Saban calls out the fans. He doesn't really do it much anymore, but he's done it a little bit in the past about fans leaving early for halftime and stuff like that. But dude, I have nothing against Dabo Swinney. He's got a good history with Alabama. He's a good Alabama player. He played on Gene Stallings, a walk-on as a defensive back, I believe, on Gene Stallings' 1992 national championship team. So the dude's got a lot of good history with Alabama. But I'm glad he pushed back on that punk-ass caller. I'm glad Dabo Swinney had the space to say what he really thought he could say about it. And he definitely told that caller to go where he needed to go. And these coaches do need to defend themselves, man. They do need to defend themselves. But that caller in particular, I'm glad that Dabo Swinney went Old Testament on him, man, because he needed to, in my opinion. I encourage everybody to go, but I'm 100% on Dabo Swinney's side. He can say whatever he wants to say. And to his credit as well, a lot of them call-in shows, the calls are screened. What I mean by that, they'll be screened by the moderator, and they'll kind of feed them to the coach as they think they need to. But Dabo Swinney just answers the phone and takes the call. So to his credit, on that. But yeah, I'm 100% back Dabo Swinney on that. He can say whatever he wants to say. They're having a tough year, and if that caller really wanted to hear it, buddy, he got it. So I say amen and God bless Dabo Swinney. And I'm not a Clemson fan. They're 4-4. But from this point, I wish him luck. Other than against South Carolina, I wish him luck.
On with Mike from Austin. I appreciate you guys calling in. Calling line is open 205-850-1994. I appreciate you guys joining me this morning. I think, when you look to Clemson and the things that are transpiring at Clemson, I mean, would that phone call would have existed if they would have beat Florida State? And that comes down to literally a missed field goal, right? I mean, they had that game in their hands, and fans are quick to forget, right? I mean, you look at the things that Dabo Swinney has done at Clemson. With that said, I think that name, image, and likeness, and I think the transfer portal has certainly impacted a team that doesn't have the funds overall to compete in the world of college football, right? Like, Clemson is not going to be a program that is going to have the type of funds that the teams from Texas are going to have, the teams from California or Alabama, because now you look at the space and who you're able to basically buy to play. And that's why a person like Dabo Swinney is against that, because he can see the writing on the wall down the road that you need the X's and O's. Pair that with this, Mike. All right, I think this was a humongous loss for Dabo Swinney, was losing Brent Venables. Brent Venables was a coach who never really got the notoriety and kind of sat in the back and waiting, right, while Dabo was up and everybody was, kind of the limelight on him and the things that he done at Clemson and the players and this and that. But without Brent Venables, and you see, that one key component that was able to leave, and he had nobody had ever went after him. That was so amazing about Coach Saban, is that people continue to go after his OCDC, but Brent Venables was a staple there. And you take him out and you kind of look to what has transpired at Clemson. It's really been interesting to see them fall. And then you have DJ Ungulele, who left from Clemson and now at Oregon State, and he looks better than he did than he did at Clemson, right? So I don't know. I mean, it's interesting to see kind of Clemson's demise, but fans will turn, and you could see down the road, if this was ever to happen to Alabama, how quickly people are, to forget. Now, it's a different caliber because you have Coach Saban and you have, Dabo and all the things that Saban has done, but you saw how people were calling for, and I've seen it in the comment box, and you can't deny it 100%. There were people calling for Coach Prime to replace Saban after he lost to Texas. There were people saying that he's lost it after they lost to Texas, right? I saw it. I read it all the time. People were mad at Saban. The game has passed him by. He's not getting pissed off. Coach Prime is the right guy for the job. Bring Coach Prime to Alabama. Now it's like, okay, now Alabama has this team with the shot to still make the playoffs. Alabama controls their own destiny, to be honest. And you really haven't heard that again. So Clemson, look, I think that Clemson is done. I think the ACC overall is weak. They should have beaten Florida State, and none of these teams from the ACC should really even be, up for the playoffs. But, Florida State here keeps winning. Mike, before I go, man, give me your take real quick on this Florida State team, why we're harping on the ACC, because they're undefeated. I have their schedule up right now. They continue to win. I did watch them this last game, and to be honest, against Wake Forest, they looked pretty good. I mean, 41-16, the quarterback moves the football. Those wide receivers are very dynamic. I guess their key wins are against Duke, and of course, LSU there at the beginning of the season when they won 45-24 in a game that they also look good. So, I mean, the schedule's light. Is this Florida State team a pretender, contender? What's your take, Mike?
Well, they're good, man. They're good. Although you're right, they should have lost that game to Clemson. They're good, but I think they are beatable, and they do have a slight easy path, and the ACC is kind of weak. I mean, honestly, when Wake Forest and Duke is some of your toughest competition, and North Carolina, I mean, God bless them, but they're not great. They're just barely good. I mean, so there's a good chance Florida State goes undefeated from this point, but they should have lost that Clemson game, and I do think they're beatable. But you're right about one thing about Clemson. Losing Brent Venables was a major loss to Clemson. But you know why Clemson was good when they were given these national championships? Because of two people, Deshaun Watson and then Trevor Lawrence. Then two quarterbacks are above average, excellent Pro Bowl level quarterbacks have played for Clemson. Then two quarterbacks carried the Clemson to their golden years, and good coaching and good defense, good defensive linemen. So that's what Clemson's missing, is just an awesome quarterback. And as far as the Nick Saban thing real quick, all teams have knucklehead fans, man. But I think for the most part, the Alabama fans stick by Nick Saban. But, yeah, college football fans are fickle, dude. But I think pro fans are more fickle. But, yeah, man. But for the most part, I think people stick by Nick Saban. But I'm a Nick Saban man, true and true. And any Alabama fan that calls Nick Saban to replace is a straight-up knucklehead. I'll go on record saying that right now, and I wish they'd call it to Nick Saban and confront him about it so Nick Saban could go Old Testament on him about it. I mean, what else you got to go win and play for national championships? If that's not good enough, I don't know what is. But all fan bases have knucklehead fans, dude. I'm probably one of them, But all right. Hey, Kyle, I'm glad. Thanks for taking the call, man. Good luck to you, dude. I'll talk to you later, man.
All right, man. See you, buddy. All right, that was Mike calling in from Austin, leading off the show. Calling line is open. 205-850-1994 is the call line number. We're talking college football rankings, the sound off after the first release. What surprised you? Will Georgia win out? And the reason I ask that is I think it impacts the entire world of college football. And specifically, think about this. If there was ever a time that the committee wanted to leave out an SEC team, it could be if Georgia's to slip up and then still make the SEC championship game, and Alabama gets there, and Alabama wins, and they'll be like, well, Alabama, you beat a Georgia team that was beatable, right? So you're not in because you have a Pac-12 team who was, undefeated throughout the regular season. Want to get your take on Dabo Swinney defending himself and defending his salary and kind of the things that he's done at Clemson after a fan challenged him on the fact that Clemson is having a tough year. on the season. I've watched Clemson play over the last 2 years, and I think just that trajectory is going downwards. And as I mentioned to Mike and Austin, I think that losing Brett Venables certainly impacted the program in a huge way. And he brought up a good point as well, saying that, the quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence, were the staples to carry Clemson during those years. You look at those great quarterbacks and what they were able to do for Clemson. I mean, bring in some natties.